Here's a little story I got to tell you about my friend named. Oh man, that was a good song. Forgot most of it, but that was still a good song, you know? Anyway, let's get into it. I'm Anthony K. Thomas, and it's story time. As we continue on me telling stories from my book right here, my memoir, My Life in a Nutshell. If you'd like to read it, go ahead and click that Linktree link you see in my bio. It will take you right to my Linktree page, and you'll see this book as well as many other books and short stories I have available now. Those short stories that you see are free to read on my WordPress page if you'd like to check them out. So for today, I'm going to be telling a little story from chapter 12 called Mixed Feelings, and this might be a little heavy. You know, and it's like I said when I started doing these, that some of these were going to be heavy and some of these were going to be light. This is going to be one of those. There might be some light moments in this thing, but it's mostly going to be mostly be a little heavy. But anyway, Mixed Feelings. So first, I got the title Mixed Feelings from a mixtape title, a title to a track on a mixtape by Logic. He has a song on one of his Young Sinatra mixtapes called Mixed Feelings. I like that song, and I like the title. When I was really getting into this, thinking of what I was going to call that, Mixed Feelings just felt right because I'm mixed, or in other terms, I'm biracial. I'm half black, I'm half white, and growing up like that, I had, as I've said before on these videos of the story times, that I grew up in a family that looked at me as the black sheep, as a reminder of what they hated. And the thing they hated was my parents, my mother white, my father black. They did not like that. They did not like that at all. And then I became a product of my parents' love for each other. And when I came into the world, that hate got directed towards me. And I'm a kid. I didn't do anything wrong. We have no control on when we are born or when we come into this world. And we have no control, and at least half of the time we have no control when we leave this world. Sometimes like that. But when I was born, that hate got towards me, both sides of my family. And that was very hard, especially as a kid in preschool who just wanted to have friends and just wanted to play. And I couldn't have that either because parents at the preschool I was going to did not want their kids to play with me. And they would tell their kids that. I was born in Santa Rosa, California, Northern California, Sonoma County. But I grew up in Glen Ellen and in Sonoma. Both are small towns. Both are like a few minutes apart from each other. And I went to a preschool in Sonoma. I'm not going to tell you the name of the preschool. But I remember it very well. But I'm not going to tell you the name of the preschool because when I was there, it wasn't the teacher's fault. I remember my teacher there was very nice, was very caring. And a lot of the kids, once they saw that I wasn't like cooties or someone disgusting to play with, that I was just like them. I was just a kid that just wanted to play. Once they didn't listen to their parents about that, and the teachers were helpful in showing the kids that as well. I had lots of kids that wanted to play with me. You know, I had friends at school. You know, one of my first friends, and I'll tell you his name. His name was Nick. He lived across the street from where I lived, and I lived in Glen Ellen Manor, which was these apartments in Glen Ellen. And right across the street and down the street is called Madrone. And right across the street was Nick. And he lived in a house, which I thought was cool because, you know, it wouldn't be till the mid, I want to say about 90, somewhere between 94 and 95 when my parents would actually move into a house. But anyway, so Nick was white. He was my first friend, and I love that. You know, it was cool that I had that. So anyway, losing track a little bit. That's a little light moment right there. But so when I was about 2 years old, the first my first real memory of racism was walking with my mother, and we're just walking down the street of where we live, and this out of nowhere, this white dude calls, and I'm not gonna say the name, I'm just gonna give you the letter, and I'm pretty sure you'll know what I mean when I'm saying it. But he called me an N-word, and he called my mom an N-word lover, and that freaked my mother out. Like, she understood what being with my father meant and how people would look at them. And this was the 1980s. It's nothing. It's not. It was. It's still a different time from how it is now. But this was the 1980s. This was somewhere between 85 and 86 when this happened. In Glen Ellen, this dude calls me what he calls me. My mom comes home. We come right back home. She was freaked out after that. And she tells my dad. And I remember the look of anger on my dad's face, because it was something my dad has dealt with his entire life. And I'll get into my father and my mother another time. But I will say that my father was born 1939, grew up in the 1940s and 50s. And he was born in the South in Louisiana, and then moved when he was 5 years old to Los Angeles. But even during that time period, he experienced racism a lot, and people calling him names and people threatening to kill him. So when my father heard me being called that, it took him back to a time that he never thought he would have to visit again. And it got him very angry. Now, it wouldn't be until I was much older, when he felt I was much older, when he would actually talk to me. Because when it happened to me, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know why he called me that. My mother couldn't really explain it to me, even though she was Jewish, and she experienced her own. She had her own experiences with racism not racism. She had her own experiences with being Jewish in San Francisco and dealing with hate because she was that. But she did not know how to explain to me why I was called that. And my father was too angry to explain that to me. So it just, nothing ever got said to me. I was kind of left wondering why. And eventually I forgot about it. I think I just, at that young of age, not knowing what to do with it or understand it, I think I just buried it. And then when I got older, when I got into like once I got into about between fourth and fifth grade, my father started pulling me aside, and two things: he would want me to read to him every night, and then in that same while after that, usually either before or after, he would have a talk with me about who I was, about what it means to be biracial, and how the world will see me versus how I or my parents will see me. And he would always tell me that just because you're biracial doesn't mean the world will see you like that. The world is a very solid colored place, which he meant was that the world only sees you in these solid colors. You're either black, white, brown, or yellow. And the world doesn't care if you are biracial, if you're half this or half that, or half this, and this. The world will look at you and judge you based on what they see. And for me, that was black. So he would spend a lot of time on telling me what it meant to be black in America, what it meant to be black in this world, and how and how people will look at me and possibly treat me, how the police will treat me. Every year I got older, the talks would get more heavier. And when we finally got to the age when I could drive, so when I am a junior in high school and I have my driver's license, after I get my driver's license, he has that talk with me about dealing with the police. And he said, and he would, and it was one conversation, and it started with not if. It would always start with not if the police pull you over, but when the police pull you over, because the police will pull you over for any reason they feel they need to pull you over for. And he would explain to me the rules of what to do. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Make sure the cop understands when they ask you for your driver's license or for your registration, that you are slowly moving your hands to get your registration, or slowly letting the police officer know that your wallet is in your back pocket or in your front pocket, and you're reaching into your pocket to take your wallet out. Always explain everything to them so they understand that you're not doing anything that could cause harm to the police or to force them to take their gun out. And that answer every question with yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, or no, ma'am, or no, sir. And the police ask you to get out of the car, do not argue with them. Do not give them more of a reason to arrest you. Listen to what they say, get out of the car, do what they say, stay calm, and know that you did nothing wrong. Know that you did nothing wrong. And then get back in your car. When they say it, you can get back in your car and get back onto the road slowly and get home. As all that matters in that moment, when you are now in the orbit of the police, is to get home as safely as possible. And he would carefully explain that to me, because it happened to him. He never could really fully tell me that story, and he never was able to, because every time he tried to tell me that story, he would find himself back in that moment and he would break down and cry. And it was one of the few moments I actually saw my father cry, and that was one of them. And the moments that he dealt with the police several times in California, in Los Angeles at that time, it was hard for him to talk about those moments. So he just carefully explained to me what to do and what not to do. And then when that eventually happened to me, I remember what my father said, and I did exactly what my father said, and I was able to go home. There was one moment when I was at a stop sign with a crosswalk. There was a white lady at the crosswalk, and I told her to go ahead, and she said, no, you go ahead. So I said, thank you, and I went. And then here comes the cop, sirens flip on, I pull over. The cop says that I endangered the lady because I did not let her pass. And I try to explain to the cop that I did let her pass, but she told me to go. The cop did not hear me. He had his hand on his gun, and right before he asked me to get out of the car, and I felt like I'm dead. I felt like, oh, this is where I die. I'm gonna die. This police officer is gonna kill me, and he's gonna have a reason why he did it, and it'll be justified, and no one will be able to hear my side of the story, because this was at a time before police had cameras on. So it would just be the police word and not mine, because I'd be dead. But this lady sees what happens, and before she goes on with the rest of her day, she goes up to the police officer and explains to the police officer what happened, and the police officer listens to the white lady. Doesn't listen to me, of course not. Look at me. But listens to the white lady. The officer says it was a misunderstanding. He thanks the lady for explaining what happens. He hands me my driver's license back and he tells me to be careful, son. And I say, yes, sir. Inside me, I'm freaking yelling, right? like I'm cussing this guy out. But I stay calm and I say, yes, sir. He takes off and I stay in my car. I do not move. He takes off and I take a few moments to breathe and really calm myself down because I feel a little, I was freaking out. I was scared in that moment. But my father was right to do what he says and you'll be fine. And I was originally, that was on a day where a Madden game had just come out. I think it was Madden, it was either Madden 05 or Madden 06 that had just come out, and I was going to get it. And I was no longer in a wanting to play football kind of mood. And I turned around and I went home. And I needed the rest of the day just to calm down. And I eventually went and got it. I went and got it the next day. But I needed that rest of the day but I needed that. And it was nothing like I had felt as a kid growing up dealing with white kids in elementary school and middle school that would call me an N-word just because. You know, and I don't even think they understood why they were calling me that. I think they heard the word, they understood a little bit of what it meant, and they looked at me and thought that's what I was. And they called me that. But I understood how to deal with it and move forward. But anyway, that's really it. That's just a little bit of what this chapter, Mixed Feelings, was, and dealing with all of that. I'll get into other stuff about my father and my mother another time. But for now, I'm Anthony K. Thomas. And link is in the bio for My Life in a Nutshell. Go ahead and check it out. And leave a comment. If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe to my AKT Publishing channel so you can keep up when all new stuff drops on here. For now, once again, I'm Anthony K. Thomas. Thanks for listening to a little story time, and I'll see you all on that next one. Peace, y'all.